He's trying to communicate to me and I'm going to listen. Once we realize that all behavior is communication, then we can go from a mindset of punishments and rewards to a more healthy mindset of how do I help my child communicate better? So my child, Ezra, doesn't speak yet. He really can't verbalize what he wants or how he feels. So communication at our house can be a little tricky. But here are 7 ways that have really helped us communicate. And this is not a comprehensive list, so please tell me what you would add to this list. Put it down in the comments and don't be shy. Remember, you never know who your idea could serve. I'm not a professional, these are just ideas, but I am a mom and I have an amazing son and we've been through a lot together. All right, the first one, pictures. And I've got a little example right here. So this can be done in different ways. This is Ezra's little picture chart. So he puts this around his neck and he has one exactly like it at school so we can kind of generalize it. What's great about one of these little boards is that you can put whatever you want on it, whatever serves your child better. So Ezra has one little social thing, which is hi, and they'll point to that and let him know that that means hi. It's very social and it's more of a routine. And then here we've got some feelings. We've got happy and sad. Yes or no are super important. Ezra still doesn't have this down. We're working on it and he's learning, but blessed will be the day when he gets yes or no, that's for sure. This is one that we use when he needs to sit. And so we'll point at it and say sit, we'll have him point at it and then he'll sit down. And that's like if he's gonna play a puzzle or if we're gonna sit down to eat dinner. It's pretty tricky because right now we're still potty training Ezra. For Ezra to have the ability to point to this and show me that he needs to go to the bathroom because he needs help going, that is amazing. And this can give him a lot of autonomy in his life because he can take a break. Look, all he has to do is point to this and he can point to snack or drink. Now this isn't gonna be for everyone. My son also has apraxia of speech, which makes it even more difficult for him to verbalize what he wants. Like I wanna take as much stress and anxiety out of his life as possible and make it as easy for him as I possibly can. And so this is something that we're working on to try and get him to understand this concept so that he can have more say in what goes on in his life. This can be a really useful tool, especially for the little kids. And the second one is connection. The best way that I have found to connect with my child Ezra is to copy his behavior. And so when he's jumping up and down on his trampoline, I'll go and jump on the trampoline with him. If he's playing with a puzzle, I'll go right next to him and start playing with another puzzle, or sometimes I'll play with his puzzle if he doesn't mind sharing. The point of this is to really let him know that I'm trying to enter his world. I want him to feel seen and heard and understood. I want him to think my mom gets me. I want him to feel that I'm a safe place that he can always go to, and that we have a strong foundation in our relationship so that when he eventually learns how to communicate, he will know that he can come to me and I will care about what he has to say. And by connecting, I mean copying their behavior and also copying sounds they make as well. When Ezra makes a fun little sound, he'll usually like gurgle, like gurgle, he'll make a sound like that. So I'll go right next to him and I'll go gurgle and I'll try and copy it. And of course I don't do it exactly the same, like I'm just trying, but he'll always laugh. Like it always makes him laugh. He loves it because I've tried to enter his world. I've joined him in his play. I haven't just only expected him to play a certain way in my world, right? I can play his games. I can make the same sounds that he can make. Well, sort of, I get close. They're kind of hard to make. He like gurgles in the back of his throat. I'm not even gonna try. The third one is to make sure that you, as the caregiver, as the mom, act on nonverbal cues. If I never respond to the nonverbal cues, then why would my son be motivated to learn how to speak if I'm not gonna listen to him before? What would tell him that I'm gonna start listening to him as soon as he learns how to speak? What would motivate him to do that? And so whenever he is trying to communicate, whatever behavior that looks like, even if it's bad behavior, I'm going to respond. I'm going to let him know I hear him, I see him, I'm trying to understand him. That's so tricky sometimes though. I remember when Ezra was really little and he was doing speech therapy and we didn't know he had apraxia of speech. And I remember the speech therapist said, he knows how to say baba. Okay, he can. And so hold the baba away from him until he says it. And I was like, well, what if he points at it? That's communication. I was like, well, what if he tries to get it? What if he's like, stomping his feet? Like, there's a lot of ways that a toddler who doesn't speak yet can communicate that they want something. And the speech therapist said, no, keep it from him until he says Baba. And that is one thing I strongly regret ever doing to my child. I'm not talking about any other child, but my son Ezra has nonverbal autism and apraxia of speech. So it is extremely difficult for him to plan out those sounds. Now looking back, I realized that I should have, in those moments, I should have given him the bottle when he communicated, because what he ended up doing was he stopped asking for the bottle because it seemed like in his mind that I no longer wanted to help him. And that hurt so bad. He stopped saying Baba completely. And I didn't know at the time he had apraxia. I didn't know he would respond that way. And there are lots of other children that won't respond that way. But with Ezra, I know it's really important for me to respond and act on however he's trying to communicate. If he says something, even if it's not a word, if he's using his voice, then I listen. The fourth is playing games. I love to bring the opportunity of communication in with play, because a lot of times we get into this routine where, oh, we're sitting down at a desk, now we're gonna communicate. And communication is a daily thing. And so I don't want Ezra to think the only time that he speaks or needs to communicate, or even like the only time he uses this thing is when we sit down. And so we will incorporate this with games that he likes to play. And you have to be careful with this because you don't want to make a game into work necessarily or make it stressful or overwhelming for a child. But while you're playing a game, you can naturally bring in the need for him to communicate something to you and just have it be natural. I'll be singing a song and then I'll stop. And he's very motivated by my singing, by music. He loves music. And I'll stop, I'll just sing like, Mary had a little lamb, little. And then I'll stop and I'll just pause. And then I'll wait for him to look at me. I'll wait for him to check in and be like, what are you doing? And it's so fun because he'll do that every time, sometimes in different ways, but he'll be like, and he'll make that eye contact. Or he'll just come in and be like, what are you doing, Mom? As soon as he communicates in any way, I'll continue with the song. Another example would be like while we're playing, I'll have some like little puzzles out. He really likes inset puzzles, and we'll just get him out. He gets so excited about them, and he starts putting them together, and he's really good at them. And I'll just take a piece and I'll put it under my hand so that he can see the piece, but he can't get it. But while he's playing, he'll just grab it, and then he'll like try and push the hand away and it won't work. But he'll have to like look at me. He'll have to be like, he'll have to check in. He'll have to communicate. You need to move your hand, Mom. Like, what's wrong with you? I can just hear his little voice saying, my mom is crazy. She doesn't know that her hand's on the puzzle piece. So that's an idea. And if you don't like that idea, then don't do it. It's just an idea. It has really, though, helped generalize that natural communication for my son, Ezra. And I love using play to create a situation or environment where he needs to communicate to get what he wants. The fifth idea is called PECS. PEC, Picture Exchange Communication System. And I want to give you a couple of ideas that we use with Ezra. So you can see that you can have broccoli. And so we have a strip where he can put the broccoli down, and he can have one that says, I want broccoli, please, that type of thing. You don't have to have the please, but that's one way how we use PECS is with Ezra's food. And so he's got broccoli here, he's got blueberries and meat. And I love that he has a little bit more say in what he has to eat. We always try and give him food that he likes and that's easy to eat, it's not too messy, because he does have a hard time with textures and things being really messy. And as you can see here, a lot of this food is finger food, and that's helpful because he doesn't like to get his hands messy and things like that. He has a hard time with different textures. What's great about the PECS system is that you can use this to create sentences, and it can evolve into like really talking and communicating completely by a device. We have an app on an iPad that we've just introduced to him, and he still gets confused and has a hard time with like where to push. He starts kind of pushing everything. But as we practice with him, we give him the opportunity to create a sentence. As he learns, he can have the opportunity to say whatever he wants just by pushing pictures, and then the device will speak for him. This type of communication system, PEC system, or communication device is not needed by most autistic people, but for those who do need it, it's incredibly helpful. Number 6 is talk to your child as if he or she understands everything. Now, Ezra, it's so hard to know what he understands and what he doesn't. But as I get him and get him dressed and help him with his shoes and socks, then I can say, oh, Ezra, where are your shoes? Let's go get your shoes. And then we go get shoes. And that just gives him more experience with, oh, this vocabulary word, shoe, means the things that I put on my feet. And so as I talk more and more and more, it gives him the opportunity to learn. And I'll try and remind myself that Ezra does understand more than he lets on. One time we were at a family reunion, and I loved that so many family members came up and greeted Ezra. Even though he can't say hi back, so many people came and said, hey Ezra, how are you? Hi Ezra, how's it going? And patted him on the head or on the shoulder and gave him that attention and talked to him. Some people, especially those who don't have a lot of experience with autistic people, might be a little standoffish and not know how to communicate or what to say to someone who can't talk. But with my son Ezra, I love it when they just have this conversation with him, talk to him just like he's understanding everything, because most likely he is. Number 7 is my favorite, and that's sign language. I love teaching my babies more and all done. Even if they only learn those 2 signs, it decreases yelling in the kitchen by like a lot. The fact that they can say, I want more food, or get me out of this high chair right now, gives them so much more freedom. Ezra has kind of gone through phases. Sometimes he'll be really good at signing more, signing please when he wants something. And sometimes he'll just be like, I want that, you know what I want. He'll just give you the look. When we were traveling to Capitol Reef National Park, Ezra found a bag of chips, and he was communicating to us very well how much he wanted us to open it. I got it on video and put it in our family travel vlog. The link's just right here if you want to check it out. It's super cute and a good example of how Ezra can easily communicate what he wants in his own way. And as we act on that attempt to communicate, then he can be motivated to communicate with us even more. I really hope that he can learn how to even like shake his head or nod, no, yes. That's right, shaking means no and nodding means yes. I've got it down. Okay, on a sheet that has a little, what's this called? I'm not gonna put that in. It's the fuzzy stuff, and it goes on the not fuzzy stuff. What's it called? I would love for you to meet Ezra. The video on the left is our autism playlist of our family travel vlog. The video on the right is what not to say to an autism mom. Be sure to check it out. And remember, if you have a child who's autistic, you're in good company.